We find when we're adopting a DfMA approach, we need to embed it into the design process really early on. The most efficient use of off-site assemblies, off-site technology, is when you can talk to manufacturer early, whereas traditionally in the construction industry, you go quite a long way down the design process before going out to tender and find a contractor at that point. To get the most advantage from DfMA, it's best to hardwire into the design process really early on. So ideally, stage 2 is the best time to do this. It can be added into the process later on, but the later you leave it, the less efficient it is and the less benefit everybody gets from that decision to go down a DfMA route.
So the implications of adopting a DfMA approach within the practice are largely about changes in attitude, getting people to understand that we're not trying to limit their creativity, that we're actually trying to give them the tools that help them construct their buildings in a better way. And it's also about getting them to understand that they need to think about constructability and how things are put together a little bit earlier on in the design process. So practically speaking, we're looking at methodologies within our own project review processes to make sure that we're looking at these from the word go right the way through the project.
The design freeze is critical to the design process. It's at the point where everybody knows what they get and everybody's happy with what they get. There is some scope to change things later on, but the longer you leave it, obviously the more expensive it will become to make the change. So it's really important that everyone understands at the design freeze stage what they're getting and how that's going to be achieved.
I think it's critical that when using a DfMA approach that the client understands that their ability to make changes is limited, and that certainly once production starts within the factory, then their opportunity to make changes reduces exponentially as that production process goes on. If we think about volumetric modular assembly, the client might be able to change finishes within those modules up until the last moment, but actually the structure of the building where penetrations go through the building need to be frozen before that construction process starts.